Hello ladies and gentlemen, before I get into this video, I would just like to instantly get this out of the way. No, I did not copy Chewy. I was already planning to make this video yesterday when I couldn't sleep, but I decided to leave it for tomorrow because my throat was completely dead from playing games all day with my boys and then also doing a stream, so it kept voice cracking, right? And I woke up today to a video of that Chewy made about Cerydra. So yes, it is a coincidence. No, I'm not copying Chewy. I don't think Chewy watches me anymore, but I still watch their videos from time to time. Love them. Go support their own video about Cerydra as well, right? So what I want to talk about is obviously Cerydra and how I think my opinion aged about her. Now, for those who don't know, my take on Cerydra was that she is not worth pulling in the slightest, right? Now, keep in mind, you can do revisionism these days and be like, oh, but Cyrene with Anoxa and that combo. However, pre-Cyrene, and keep in mind, we didn't really know much about Cyrene's kit at all until basically her beta hit or nearly when it hit. Cerydra was like a 20 to 25% buff over other options for Phanon, and it was basically this exact same jump for Anoxa, if not actually less at the time, a little less. Right. So Ceredra's value was being that much slightly better than other options for specifically those two DPSs. You could use her as like a Sustainless character in like an Archer team back then. However, that was just cope and like multiple people can do that job anyways. Her value was just astronomically low because of how niche they made her, but they didn't give her that like huge buff towards her niche teams that you'd usually expect from a character like that. So my take was, when it comes to Phanon, I would never pull this character, okay? Anoxa is different, especially now that we have Cyrene. However, even with the addition of Cyrene in today's age, I still would not pull Cerydra for Phanon, and I will explain why. One of Phanon's strongest full E0 teams in the entirety of the game is running Sunday, Buff Sparkle, and Tribby, right? You can run a Cerydra in here, like an E0 Ceri, and she probably will be stronger than an E0, what's it called, Tribby in this team, right? However, the thing is, Buff Sparkle is free. And Buff Sparkle has Eidolon investment that is unironically better for Phanon than Cerydra. This entire fiasco, this is why, by the way, if you were keeping up with me and my takes about Buff Sparkle on the beta, I thought she'd get nerfed, because this didn't make any sense. She is just so strong as a generalist to the point where you can now run her in Phanon teams, and it performs better than his so-called best in slot with Cyrene and Cerydra, and it's like, wow, right? Like, what the fuck even is this? But they didn't nerf her, so I mean, I guess fuck me, right? So this is one of his strongest E0 teams, not even running the Cyrene Cerydra combo. It's just Sunday plus Sparkle plus Tribby. And on top of this, Buff Sparkle is literally free, right? Like, if you got Buff Sparkle from this selector, that's technically free, while for a lot of people, an E0 Cerydra will be something like 1 cost, right? And an E1 Cerydra will be 2 costs. So even people who make up this excuse of like, oh, you know, if you get E1 Cerydra, that E1 is better than Sparkle's E1 for Phanon. Sparkle is free, so anyone who attains Sparkle for free, getting her to E2 costs the same for someone else getting Cerydra E1. And at E2, Sparkle gives herself a speed increase, making herself easier to build for good rotations on a Phanon team. She gives a 45% attack buff, which is decently synergistic with Phanon, especially if you're running Dawnhung PT, which you can use because this is a double action advancer comp, right? Using Sunday. And her E2 is 30% defense shred no matter what. I'm not even joking. Her E2 is better than Ceredra's E1. Because if we go over here to the Harmony section and we go to Ceredra's E1, like, a majority of the time, you are only getting 16% defense ignore, right? majority of the time you're only getting 16%, which is half of Sparkle's 30%. Only on double skills occasionally do you get this 36% number, which is 6% more than Sparkle's E2, which is always 30% defense shred for all attacks. So Sparkle is free at E0, plus 2 cost is an E2, and this E2 is better than Cerydra's E1, and her E1 is also an attack buff, which is decently synergistic. I mean, like, what is this, right? So Cerydra, in my opinion, is not worth it at all for a Phenon team, because keep in mind, this is a buffed 2.x support who the game literally fucking gave for free. It is still unbelievable to me that they decided to make buff Sparkle free, but hey, you know, I'm not gonna fucking complain about it. But my point is, if they make one new AoE support who is like, let's say, a slight power creep over Tribby with a Tribby level E1, it's over, right? I'm not trolling. It is literally over. A Phenon team with Sunday, Sparkle, and this theoretical AoE support would genuinely be his strongest E0 team in the entirety of the game. Sure, maybe you could get rid of Sunday and you add in Cerydra there, but without double action advance, it's a lot more risky in Sustainless, in my opinion. So Sunday does have that value, plus he has the synergy with Donhung PT, which can also be really nice if you're more so of a sustain player. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying Cerydra isn't his best in slot, right? This is specifically Sustainless teams and in 0 cycles 300 AV. If you look at it from a multiple cycles perspective, yes, Cerydra and Cyrene do end up catching up, and they're about 20% stronger. But this was pre-buff Sparkle, right? This 20% number was pre-buff Sparkle. So I imagine current E0 Sparkle, and especially if you include the fact that you got her for free, or 99% of people did, if you are someone who got her for free, that's minus 1 cost as compared to the other team. You put this 1 cost into an E1 Tribby. You put this 1 cost into an E1 Sunday. You put this 1 cost into Phenon's Light Cone, or getting Phenon near his E2. And the opportunity cost is vastly greater as compared to the Cyrene Cerydra team. And these, keep in mind, Cyrene Cerydra are niche, right? Like, Sunday and Sparkle are some of the most general buffers in the entirety of the game who you can slap on almost anyone's team and help them clear endgame content. Cyrene is mainly only for the Chrysos heirs, and Cerydra is basically only best in slot for both Phenon and Anoxa. So, in my opinion, Cerydra, and my take about her back then, about her being terrible pull value, has aged incredibly well. The only thing, of my opinion of her, that has aged badly, and it's because I just didn't have the foresight of it at the time, is Anoxa. Anoxa, in my opinion, is the only DPS where I would say, yes, grab that Cerydra, grab that Cyrene, run the combo, because even though Anoxa is mostly reliant on Cyrene and not Cerydra, once you combo the two, having Cerydra being able to give you double skills on Cyrene's limited 1 turn buff, the value is astronomical. I cannot pretend it isn't. So for Anoxa, yes, go get that girl. But for Phenon and every other DPS in this game, Cerydra, in my opinion, is the biggest bait and not worth pulling in the slightest, right? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Peace out.